welcome back to Cruising as Crew. Today I am here with Andy, who is a fleet safety trainer on board, so he's going to be telling us all about his job. So hi Andy.
Hi, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, yeah.
So Andy, what is your job title?
Fleet safety trainer.
Okay, and can you please go into detail about your job?
Firstly, your main job on board is to update the training that people have had in accordance with STCW, so that crowd management and crisis management and things like that. And then there's the occupational health training as well, which you do, which is like manual handling and chemical safety. So you do all the training for that. But your main job really is to back up the safety officer and train people in the things that they're weak at. Every week we need to do a drill, and that's the fleet safety trainer's job, is to organise the drill, run the drill, debrief the drill, and then work on the bits that people are weak on. You're responsible on board for all the training that needs to be done to do with safety at sea and occupational health.
So with the drills, do you have to come up with a scenario?
Yes, but there are set scenarios that SOLAS demands that we do. So we have to do a certain amount of different exercises, like a galley fire or a helicopter transfer drill or something like that. So that's set, but we can flex that around to make sure we do all of those drills within a year.
I asked you on the email, I said, please go through your job progression, and you said there isn't any. So.
Yeah, there isn't any really, because it's a one-stop job. There isn't a job below mine which you would do first.
Okay.
Yeah, so you go straight into this job, and the only place really to go after this job is to be the manager ashore.
For someone wanting to do this job, what kind of experience would they need?
Well, that's exactly what I do need, because when I started the job, I had experience, but also had training in some of the subjects as well.
Right.
So I knew the subject, like survival at sea.
Yeah.
You do that in the Navy as well. It was difficult at first because I was, right, you will know this, like I did in the Navy. But cruising crew don't respond well to that. So the experience you need experience in teaching or training.
Okay.
You need experience of perhaps working at sea, not necessarily in the cruise industry or on other merchant ships or the Navy, but you need to have some sort of sea sense as well. Although most of what you teach is occupational health that you could do ashore as well.
Right.
But you need to be able to give examples of that job. So you need some experience of the sea, and it's mostly teaching or training. But most companies will give you the training. So you need to know how to look at a subject and then pass it on to somebody else, get them to practice it, and then leave them able to do it on their own.
How can you even apply for this job?
But to apply for the job, you would need to go to the individual cruise companies and look on their websites for the jobs. They tend to advertise for jobs like this one and other jobs at sea well in advance, because they're predicting when people are going to leave and they're going to need replacements. The very best place, anything like LinkedIn, is worthwhile. Certainly LinkedIn is very, very busy with cruise industry jobs. So you definitely want to be on that, and maybe some other job search sites.
So how long did you wait to get on a ship after you had your successful interview?
For me, it was a matter of 3 or 4 weeks, because they needed me then. But I do know some companies will look way ahead, so they'll look at people 9 months in advance. So if you've got a job already, then that's really good, because then you can apply for the job and just wait for it, and you can even tell your previous employer this is how long it's going to be.
Yeah.
But they do work in advance, because in the cruise industry, you can't have gaps at sea.
What training did you receive from the cruise line before starting?
I suppose the main one was the training one, to prove that they actually can train.
Yeah. And
the company put me on that, and I was a bit miffed, because I've been an instructor for over 20 years. But then I understood why, because everybody, all the trainers on all the ships in the company, did that course. It's a really, really good thing, particularly for the rest of the crew, that we all do the same training. But then I had to do firefighting again, and in fact it was invaluable. So I did that, and I did everything that everyone else has to do as well. The sea survival, which is completely different. In the Navy, you jump into the sea and then climb into a life raft.
Yeah.
Whereas on a cruise ship, you don't get wet at all, hopefully, if it goes right.
No, you can't get Dorothy to jump into the sea and then swim to a lifeboat, can you?
So I did all of that, and then I did all the other courses that I have to teach, like manual handling and driving pallet trucks and things like that. So there was lots of courses, and they were all good. None of them were rubbish.
Yeah.
I didn't think I needed to do them at the time, but in hindsight, yes, I did, because it's different working on a cruise ship.
Did you have any expectations for what it would be like to work on a cruise ship, and did it meet those expectations?
I didn't know what to expect, to be honest. I really didn't. I just thought, well, this is different. But, you know, I really expected it to be, especially for the crew, to be living in the dark recesses of the ship, down the bottom somewhere, probably with your feet wet most of the time. But actually, you know, the standards were so high, but, you know, when I got on there, I felt like I was actually on a cruise myself.
Yeah.
For how I was living, how I was working was a completely different matter. How much work there was to do, but obviously the longer you do it, the more experience you get. So that was a shock, but you get used to it.
Yeah.
And then when you do get used to it, you enjoy it even more.
Good. What was your first day like?
It was a really good day, starting from driving down to the harbour with the two other people, were the safety officer and one of the shore excursion team. As we came into the harbour, I got my mobile phone out. I was filming as we were approaching it, and I was saying, "Wow, it's so big," and I had to put it like into landscape view to get the whole ship in. I said, "I can't believe how big it is." And he went, "It's that one over there." Oh. it was big, and I'm like, "No way!" It was so big compared to a warship.
Which one was it?
Britannia.
Oh God, yeah.
So that was a shock, and I thought, how am I going to learn this? Yeah. And I got on board, and everyone was just so friendly. Everything was well organised. It was just a massive shock, but in a good way.
Yeah.
It was so much better than I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting because I didn't know. I'd never been on a cruise ship before. But there was nothing that was bad.
What is a normal embarkation day like for a safety trainer?
It's the busiest day of all.
Okay.
But it's a really important day, obviously, because there's new crew arriving. Some are coming back to the ship, so they need a reminder of how things work on the ship. And then you've got the new people that have never been to sea before. That's the hardest. All of the training needs to be finished before the ship sails. So if the ship sails at 4, then you've got to try and fit all of that training in.
And what training is that?
Well, I'm glad you asked that, because most crew members who have worked on board ships before will think, well, it's just an induction. Which lasts around about an hour. Most people only do that, but then after that there is instruction in the lifeboats for lifeboat crew members, instruction for people in charge of life rafts. There's the watertight door and splash-tight door training, which takes a long time, and then you have to take part in the passenger drill as well, which either takes place before you sail or as you're sailing. So it's a really, really busy day. It's the busiest day of all.
All right, and then what's a normal sea day like?
The standard is in the office for about 7 o'clock to check any emails that come in overnight, and particularly the return emails from the ones you sent out to the ship saying, "I'm going to do this training today. Who's going to come?" So you check your emails, then go for breakfast, and then back into the office. Maybe admin till about 9 o'clock. Then most of the ship then is up and around doing their stuff. So that's when you can really start training about 9 o'clock. About 9 o'clock is the best time to do training. So you'd be training them between 9 and 12, and that could be a 3-hour course, or it could be 3 1-hour courses or something like that. And then 2 hours for lunch. It's really important that people at sea get enough time off. In fact, it's law now, they have to. Yeah. So 2 hours for lunch. Not many people are going to want to do training over lunch, so it's either you having your time off or doing some admin. And then in the afternoon from 2 till 6 doing training. And I think most people like to leave the last hour to get your admin finished for the day. So it's a long day, but if you think I've had 2 hours for lunch, I've got up at a reasonable time, all right, I probably won't finish work till 7, but then I've got the rest of the night to myself.
What's a normal port day like?
A port day is what you make of it, because obviously you need to get ashore. It's not part of the contract, but you can only do your work as a trainer when the people are available to train. Let's say you've got a captive audience, and in port, it's not in people's contract to work 10 hours a day every day, so people will want to go ashore, so you can't use those. Yeah. The different departments want to do their training either at sea or in port, so there's always training to do in port. If you need to get off to refresh your brain, then you can, because you arrange your own training. The only training that the trainer doesn't normally have any control over is the drills, because they're at set times, for set periods. And there's only a few things that you have no control over. And if you happen to be in your favourite port of Venice and you want to go ashore, but as a drill, you ain't going ashore because it's a long day when you do a drill. And the drills are done in port as well.
Yeah.
So a normal port day will be an easier version of a day at sea.
When is your job at its most stressful?
When you first start, it was very stressful when I first started, but since then, perhaps it might be stressful during a drill when you're trying to get around everybody. It might be stressful if there's an inspection on. So the inspectors will be going around asking you, for example, how many people can you get in a life raft? And if you don't know, it makes me look bad. So that can be stressful.
Yeah.
But if you're doing a job, most people will know, right? But I would say the job isn't stressful. Once you know what you're doing, the job is not stressful at all. And if it is, you're doing it wrong.
Are you considered an officer on board? And if so, what perks come with that?
Yes, we are considered as officers on board. Being an officer, then you get your own cabin. You get to go to all of the passenger areas like you used to.
Yeah.
Imagine that's going to be different for a while with COVID when we eventually do go back to work, just for a while. But you can use all the passenger areas as usual as well. Obviously, you get invited to the cocktail parties as well, which can be good for some people. You eat in the wardroom, which apparently crew members say, in the ships I've been on, say the food's not as good in the crew mess as it is in the restaurants and the wardroom. But the wardroom food's okay. You do get to order off the menu, same as passengers do.
Living the dream. How long are your contracts and how long do you have on vacation in between contracts?
Obviously, it depends what company you work for. So for me, 200 days is my contract. That's a new thing. Some of the older trainers are still on 238 days or 221 days. So obviously, take that away from 365, and that's what time we get off. It is roughly around about something like 3 months on, 3 months off. And it's an annualised contract as well, so you get paid even when you're not at sea. But then it's obviously aggregated, so although I get paid a certain amount a day for 200 days, that's spread out over 365 days.
What are the top 3 skills that you need to be a good fleet safety trainer?
Experience. Yeah, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know the subject. And even if you haven't got the experience, you can learn the subject. Yeah. But you need the confidence of the knowledge to give confidence on to other people. You need to want to train people. Having the ability is all well and good, but you need to want to tell people that information. You want them to understand it and understand why they need to know it. And I suppose administration, being able to record it all, plan it all. You need to be good at that. But you just need good organisation skills, because you've got a big ship, lots of different departments. They all work different routines. They're available at different times, whether it be in ports or at sea, or in the evening or the morning. So you need to plan your training so that you can get as many of those people together, because you don't want to do the same subjects 5 times. Sometimes you just have to. Yeah. Now, I've done manual handling which takes an hour, about 7 times in a day. And it always looks good when you plan it. You think, I'll get all those people trained in manual handling. And then when you're actually halfway through it, you think, what have I done? You need good organisation skills. You need experience, all the knowledge. Yeah. But I think the most important one is the will to want to train people.
What is your favourite and least favourite thing about being a safety trainer?
The most favourite thing is talking to people. Yeah, is working with people. Yeah. There's so many different people, so many different nationalities. It's not what I'm used to. I'm used to teaching people who are like me. Yeah. But now I'm teaching people who are not like me, which is a challenge, but that's what makes it so good. The least favourite thing is having to take people away from their job to do training. The training has to be done, their job has to be done. But when I take someone away from their job to do the training, which has to be done, when they go back to work, they have to do what they've just missed. Yeah. And training for a lot of the crew becomes a chore for them. So, and I don't like that.
And then what is your favourite and least favourite thing about living on a cruise ship?
The best thing for me is the travel. Is travelling around the world whilst doing the job that I enjoy.
Okay, and then the worst thing about living on a cruise ship?
It probably is, for me, missing out on the social stuff. Because, on the ship, because there is a lot of social stuff going on. it's always later on at night when I finish work several hours before,
Yeah.
and I should sleep or go to bed. And that's when the social stuff starts. So, but I want to work on that when I go back. I think it makes you better at your job if you
Have a good
take part in social events as well.
Well, you have answered all my questions.
Hopefully, well.
You have, yeah. Thank you very much. Thanks guys for watching. I really hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you, Andy, for answering all the questions. If you have any more questions, then you can leave them in the comments down below or DM me on Instagram and I will try and answer them, or I'll ask Andy so I can answer them. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.